Guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're back at it with my 2023 Honda Civic Type R. And in this review, I want to talk about that hot topic, dealer markup. Should you be getting a Type R with dealer markup? And if you are going to go down that road, what's acceptable? So let's go ahead, let's get to it and start the discussion. All right, guys, we're back in my FL5 Type R. This video is all about dealer markup and if you should be paying the markup. Is the new Type R worth the markup? Well, let's talk about just MSRP. Like I said, MSRP for my car with Championship White was $44,000 and change. Now, you don't have to have a YouTube channel or be somebody famous to get one at MSRP. Is it going to be easy? No. But trust me, going through the process of getting mine for MSRP was not easy either. Don't think that Honda would just gave it to me and said, here, pay MSRP and it's yours. No, it was not that simple. So, talking about MSRP, it's all about the networking. Are you calling up your dealerships? Are you calling up out-of-state dealerships? Are you visiting dealerships? Simply sending a text message or an email does not cut it as networking. You gotta be there in person. You gotta show up. You gotta press the flesh and shake hands and really give them a sense that you're serious. And it's something that you should have been doing months ago if you wanted to be one of the first to get a Type R. Like I said in my first video of the unboxing of this car, I started talking to the Honda reps and my Honda friends going all the way back to January 2022 before the car was even released. And there were times throughout the year where I didn't think it was going to happen because there are no guarantees. That's one thing you could be definitely sure of. So my advice, like I said, call up dealerships, be willing to drive a distance. And you have to ask yourself, if I drive 1,000 miles and I don't have to pay markup, is it worth my extra time and fuel costs to get one? That's a question you have to ask and answer. I can't do that for you. I would, but that's just me. So let's talk about markup. Obviously, there are more dealerships out there that have markup on their Type Rs. And they've had markup going back to the FK8, starting in 2017. So, is the car worth it with markup? I guess it depends, right? I would say if you pay anywhere between $1 to $5,000 markup, I would call that a win. And I know you might say, well, Joe, that sounds crazy. $5,000 over MSRP? I've never paid more for a car than sticker. Well, I hate to say it, times have changed. And times have been changing. I mean, like I said, on the FK8, people were already adding markup. I mean, hell, I remember when I was a kid and my dad and I went to a Chevrolet dealership to see one of the first 1990 ZR1s, the C4 ZR1. In 1990, they wanted $50,000 over. That made it a $100,000 car in 1990. So something to think about. Now, buying it for more than sticker is going to hurt. I mean, obviously. But I really truly believe that because this is not a situation where dealerships are discounting these out the yin-yang, the cars will hold their value more. And if you don't believe me, do your research. Go online, look up a 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 Type R, and see what they're going for. And remember, pay close attention to miles and pay close attention to how many owners they have, the wear and tear factor, all of this. So I personally believe that if you could get one for $5,000 or less over MSRP, you're still in a winning position. The car is that good. And it's that usable of a car. And the improvements, especially if you're coming from an FK8, you're going to feel. Now, I'll talk more about ownership between an FK8 and this FL5 in another review, so I'm not going to talk too much about that now. But I specifically wanted to talk about the markup. Now, let's say markup is $6,000 to $10,000. Should you go for it? That is a big question for yourself. I still think it's a fun car, it's a good car, it's a car that's going to hold its value a little bit better. But if you're paying $10,000 over, that's quite a bit of extra change. If you want it that bad, it's up to you. Are you going to be disappointed in the car? No. You're not going to be disappointed in the car. But are you going to have that upset stomach every time you see it and say to yourself, I spent $10,000 more? You got to ask yourself that question. I can't answer that for you. I would have a little bit of an upset stomach if I had to pay 10 grand over for the car. And that's just me. 15 over, 20 over, 30 over, those dealerships are out of their mind. And I get it. I know we live in a capitalistic society. Something is worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. And they're in the business to make money. But there's got to be a line drawn somewhere. And the only way to do something about it is to not buy them. The challenge is there are people who are buying them for 15 over, for 20 over. And if that's the case, how are you supposed to compete with that if you're going in and saying, hey, I want it for sticker? You're never going to win. Another thing you might want to try to do with this whole situation is if you're trading in a vehicle, see if they can give you more for your vehicle that you're trading in. So let's put it this way. Let's say they're going to charge you 5 over on the Type R, but they're going to give you 2 grand more than what you thought for your trade-in. Now you're only paying 3 grand more. See, there's a little bit of a way you can kind of balance it out if you're trading in a vehicle. And then, of course, if you're trading in a vehicle, you are getting the tax incentives and everything else when you trade in your vehicle compared to just buying one all by itself. But these are things that take time and take homework. You can't be impulsive with this Type R decision. I know you want one bad. Trust me, I wanted one bad. But you can't be impulsive. Really, you never want to be impulsive when any decision, especially buying a Type R and looking at paying over MSRP for it. So let's do a little recap. I say anything 5 and under, you should be proud. If you get it for MSRP, I mean, you did your homework, you went the extra mile. I applaud you. If you get one between 6 and 10,000, I still on the good side of that, especially if you have a trade-in. 15 or more, I guess if you want it, pull the trigger, but I don't think the car is worth 15,000 over sticker. It's a good car, it's a great car, it's a fun car, it's a rare car. I wouldn't pull the trigger on 15 or more. And like I said, between 10 to 15, you're gonna have to use your judgment on that. Don't buy more car than you can afford. That's another thing. You never want to do that. It may feel good at first, but you will eventually have buyer's remorse for sure. Another thing you may want to try to do is see if they could work something out where, okay, they want 5 grand over, let's say, or 10, let's just say 10 grand over. Because 5 grand, I think you're in a good spot. 10 grand over. What I would do is I would say, okay, how about instead of me paying you, and you as the dealership, 10 grand over, give me every accessory that I could get for the Type R, and I'll pay for that, but you just deduct it from the 10,000 over. So let's say, for example, you go for the wheels, you go for the carbon fiber wing, the Alcantara steering wheel, the leather wrapped shift knob, the floor mats, and let's just say, for argument's sake, that comes out to $5,000. Let's just say. Now, you're only paying 5 over for the car. Yes, you bought the accessories, but those accessories are actually something. If you just pay 10 grand over, you don't have anything extra. There's nothing tangible. But if you pay 5 grand in accessories and then the 5 grand over, you're still looking pretty damn good. As long as, like I said, the extra money is not going to sink you that you're spending, that you're not spending more money than you can afford. So that's another way to look at it. Go for the accessories. If they have other stuff added besides a markup, like paint protection and door guards and all that crap, tell them there's no way in Jose you're doing that. Because that's just ridiculous markup for no reason. So I'm hoping that this video has been helpful. And yes, it's stuff that you could use for other cars that have markup as well. But I specifically wanted to talk about the Type R and talk about the whole situation with markups, and just to let everybody know I did buy my Type R. There were some people who thought that Honda gave me a Type R. No, I paid for my Type R through my networking, through the people that I have become friends with and check in with them and all that kind of stuff. I was able to get one in MSRP through American Honda. But I know that's not the norm for everybody else. So I'm trying to give you some information to maybe help you get that Type R that you really want. And I'm telling you, not too far from me, in Brandon, Florida, because I live in Clearwater, Florida, there is a dealership there that sold one for MSRP. So it can be done. You just might have to go halfway around the country to get it. But I think by saving the money on the markup, it'll probably be worth it in the end. Plus, it's a cool story at the end of the day. I mean, it's always fun to tell people that story. Hey, I had to fly to Wisconsin to get this car and then drive it home. And boy, was that one hell of an adventure. One last thing I want to point out is that there are certain states where more dealers charge markup. If you live in California, Florida, Texas, New York, those are areas of the country where I've seen a lot of markup from a lot of dealerships. So that means you're going to have to leave the state to probably get one in MSRP. Just a little heads up. But I hope this has been helpful. If you want to see more stuff with my Type R, let me know exactly what questions you have, what you want to see in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raitis Reds family. Of course, I got to definitely thank Steven and Lori for all their great work behind the camera. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.